Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michael Regina. I am the author and illustrator of the all-ages horror graphic novel The Sleepover, a kind of spooky all-ages horror book that you can find wherever books are sold. And welcome back to my channel here. So happy holidays. Santa Jaws is coming to town. I hope you're having a great holiday season. And I wanted to do something sort of like different and fun with this video. And with this one, I actually want to talk about what do I keep in my backpack? I'm a creative person on the go between either a day job or just out and about, and I keep a backpack with me at all times. And so I figured it'd be fun to talk about the kind of things that I usually store in my bag, and I thought there might be some tools and things of such that you might find to be interesting and either worth looking into purchasing yourself or just and kind of a little bit know about like how I run things creatively. So that's the point of this video, just diving into what I keep in my backpack. So let's get started with that. All right, so opening it up, you can see on the outside, one of my favorite little things is my Grogu. I love Grogu, or Baby Yoda, however you want to call him. I call him Grogu. I go with the canon name, but love the Mandalorian, and it's one of my favorite things. I've actually really been enjoying Skeleton Crew too. I don't know if you guys are enjoying that or if you're watching Skeleton Crew, but it's totally fun. I really like where they're taking this. All right, so first thing, where do I start? So probably the thing that I use the most on a daily basis from like a device or note-taking, reading, whatever, and I've talked about it in another video, is my Kindle Scribe. It is sort of my one-stop shop for reading and for note-taking. I actually replaced the standard premium pen with the Statler Norris Digital Jumbo pen. And I picked this one up after I somehow lost my premium pen. I don't know what I did with it. I'm really upset about it, actually. I had it with me at the office and it has disappeared. I have no idea, but I'll tell you though, I was iffy on purchasing anything other than the standard pen, and I'm actually really glad that I did. The Norris, the Statler pen is way better for me. The nib, for one, it's I'm not able to get it really super good, but the pinpoint on it is much thinner than the other one, and it seems to hold up a lot more. Like the premium pens on the Kindle Scribe that come with it they wore down really fast. I'm talking like within a week or two they had worn out a lot, but these, I mean, I use them for months before I'm noticing that I have to do anything about it. But yeah, the Kindle Scribe, if you're a note taker like me and you want sort of single purpose devices, so whereas like an iPad or your phone, it can distract you with the sheer like opportunity level of things that you could potentially do on that device. These are great because it's basically like I'm reading or I'm taking notes, like that's it. So that would be a Kindle Scribe or a Remarkable or something like that. I think is if you have the money and you think you'll really use it, I think it's well worth it. And Kindles I've purchased have lasted me. I've got my Kindle that I bought over a decade and a half ago still sitting on my shelf, so they tend to hold up really well, guys. It's a worthwhile purchase. One thing I thought would be fun to mention is like, what book am I currently reading? I'm reading this thing called Christmas and Other Horrors. I think it was up on Kindle deals actually recently, so it was only like $3, but it's a bunch of Christmas horror stories, or horror stories themed around the holiday season, from different cultures. So the story I just read this morning, I believe, was like Scotland, and it was a really, like, I'm not quite sure what happened by the end of it, but it was eminently compelling. Like, I couldn't put it down. I just had to get to the end of it. So I highly recommend this if you're into short stories and you kind of want something creepy with your Christmassy fun. This is really good. And another book that I'm reading that I think I'm going to do like a whole video about when I finish it is Oliver Burkeman's Meditations for Mortals. I talk a lot about productivity and sort of living a balanced life and getting things done. And Oliver Burkeman's books, both 4,000 Weeks and this book, have been some of my favorites. One, he acknowledges that like we're all busy people and we're finite and we only have so much time on this planet to get anything done. And so what is a healthy approach to approaching productivity. This book is really interesting because he broke it up into 28 small chapters that are designed to be read one at a time over every day. So you read one chapter a day over the course of a 4-week period. And I find that to be like the perfect reading cadence for it, because each chapter is sort of a microcosm of an idea. And he tries to cram a lot into that chapter, but it leaves you with like something that you can chew on throughout the day, and you're not inundating yourself with the next idea before you even had a chance to process the one you just read. So I highly recommend this book. It's a great read as I contemplate sort of what I'm doing next and how I want to approach my life. It's been a helpful rebalance of like, hey, productivity ultimately means, did you set a goal and did you manage to accomplish it? It doesn't have to be like work or books or projects. For me, it could simply be like, this morning, I want to get up and play Baldur's Gate with my son for an hour. Did I do that? Then I was productive. I did the thing that I set out to do. So, yeah, I highly recommend checking out Oliver Burkeman's book. I could do a whole set of videos on just the books I've been reading that I think are great productivity books, and that's probably worth doing. If that's something you think you would enjoy, leave a comment below, but I probably will do a more in-depth review of at least that one in the near future. All right, so what's next? I've got this one in my backpack. This is a very recent addition, honestly. It just went into the backpack on Saturday. The Light of Xeraxis, which is the adventure from the Dungeons and Dragons Spelljammer set that came out a few years ago. That was the very first campaign setting I purchased when I got into Dungeons and Dragons. I purchased the Spelljammer set, and my first homebrewed campaign was in the Spelljammer setting. But I really thought this adventure looked like a lot of fun. It's very straightforward, chapters are short, and it's designed to be very pulpy and over the top. And it's in my backpack because my son and my middle daughter, my younger daughter, we're going to start a campaign, just the three of us. And we were trying to decide what we wanted to do. And we play the game Dungeon World more than we play Dungeons and Dragons rules. But I love a lot of the D&D world building. It's mostly the rule system is just not my favorite. And but the great thing with Dungeon World is that they have a great sort of like very simple conversion process in the back of the book, so that if you have D&D modules or something like that that you really love, you can quickly convert it. So we're going to use Dungeon World rules, but we're going to play the Light of Xeraxis. This is just a really fun adventure. Like, look at this. Just real quick. Like, what? This is whales in space and stuff. So I recommend the Light of Xeraxis. Well, I don't know if I recommend it. It's up to you, but this is something in my backpack as I'm reading, and just when I get a minute, I'm reading it. All right. Next thing, my iPad Pro. Wow. And my keyboard. So my iPad Pro, I just bought a new case like a month ago because the one that I had previously had was like completely tattered and falling apart. But I like these composition notebook cases. One, because I feel like I can mark it up and treat it like it's my own notebook. And I use the 12.9 iPad Pro, the larger format. Honestly, when I moved over to this, it was like kind of a jarring experience. I didn't really love it at first. It took like a month or so, and then eventually it was my preference all the way across the board. But yeah, I love the iPad Pro 12.9. This is an older model. I think it's like 4 or 5 years old at this point. It's starting to show its wear and tear a little bit as far as like it's slowing down on some of the applications that I use. But this is my iPad, and my main programs that I use on it are Clip Studio Paint and also Scrivener. So I use Clip Studio Paint to work on the comics, and then Scrivener is my main writing program. And then I have like a litany of other productivity programs that I use, like Notion and Google Docs, if I'm just taking general things. But my iPad Pro, and then I really love having a portable keyboard. And I've had like a keyboard case for my iPad Pro at one point, where you put the it's actually right here. This is a keyboard case for my iPad Pro that I initially used whenever I was writing and typing. And I really like the convenience of it, because you sort of collapse the whole thing and you've got your keyboard and your case and all together. But it's like crazy heavy. And if I just want the iPad and not the case, it's kind of cumbersome and annoying. And so instead of using that, I purchased one of these little keyboards. I don't know the specific name of it. In fact, let me look it up. So this is called the Omaton. I think that's correct. Bluetooth keyboard, wireless. This thing is super lightweight. It's very thin. I can stick it in my backpack, and the interesting thing is it like actually magnetizes to the front of my keyboard case or my iPad case. And so it's paired up to my iPad, but either way, even if I don't have my iPad on me, I keep it in my backpack because I'll sync it up to my phone. And a lot of the same writing programs that I use are available on my phone. So I'll just pair it up to my phone. And if I'm sitting at a restaurant or a bookstore and I just feel like making some progress digitally on something, it's a great tool. All right, continuing forward, I keep some single purpose notebooks. Now, you might notice I have a lot of notebook things going on. I mean, you might say to yourself, why have a Kindle Scribe with endless notebooks if you're just going to carry single purpose notebooks? It's a good question. The best way I know to answer it is sometimes I want to write on paper and sometimes I don't. The ones that I have in my backpack right now, one is just a notebook that I'm using to capture business ideas. I have a similar notebook in my Scribe if that's what I feel like working on. One that's on a secret writing project. Shh, no secret writing project. And then this one is where I'm taking down notes for my next book pitch that I'm going to use in the new year. So I'm kind of very, very early on in this one. And yeah, I'm using this one to develop the next project I plan to pitch. And then for pens, I really love these Pilot G2 pens. I think a lot of people love them. I prefer the sort of medium ballpoint one, and I don't have it. I'll show it to you in a minute when I get into the next thing in my backpack, but I usually will attach these like pen holders, and I put that on the side. That way, if I'm out, if I want to just put it in my pocket, I should have a pen that's attached to it. But I have 3 of these notebooks that are representing different projects that I'm currently working on. Other things worth talking about, I keep a wireless Bluetooth mouse in my my bag. So this is, again, I buy these like cheap external devices that work really well. This is like a $15 Bluetooth mouse, but it's great. And I pair that with the iPad for when I don't feel like using my screen, or if I want to treat it more like a laptop. So it's, that it's there in the backpack. So this is another great one to pick up. And I'll try to put links to any of these things that are, I think, worth your time down in the description below. All right. Lastly, this is my current solo RPG kit that I'm keeping in my backpack as I'm out and about, or at work, or at the office, or if I'm just at a bookstore and I feel like playing a game or working on a story using solo RPG rules, which is something I've been talking a lot about on this channel. So what do I keep in my solo RPG kit? 1, a deck of cards. I like the bicycle black cards. I wished I would have put them in this case sooner because the box is just ripping to shreds, but I keep a case of bicycle cards in my box, mostly because a lot of solo RPG rules, they use a deck of cards as their sort of one of their randomizers. And so having this in my backpack to be able to create the decks that they need whenever I need to use it is a super helpful thing just to have readily available. A bag of dice. Let me see if I can grab the ones that I'm using. So the main dice that I use are these kind of like kind of ornately designed polyhedrals, and you can find these on Amazon if you just look up RPG dice. You can buy like a whole, like 5 or 6 sets of them for $15. And then these blue D6s that I use a lot for my Powered by the Apocalypse games, or Free League kind of year 0 engines games. And I have like 6 of those D6s, and then all the polyhedrals that I keep in this bag that goes in the box. A pencil case that has all my favorite drawing tools. I keep a regular kind of sketch marker that I use for things like shading, or if I'm sketchbooking, I can use this just to add some highlights and stuff like that. My favorite illustration pen is these zebra brush pens. These come from Japan. You can buy them on Amazon as well. I love them because this one has a fine tip and I can get like just enough line weight to it if I want to. They come in a larger size as well, but I really like the extra fine. For pencils, I often like the Staedtler Mars Lumograph. This is the 2B pencil, which is my preference. I love the 2B pencils. I also keep a watercolor pen in case I have a watercolor set, which I need to put one in my backpack. Currently don't have one, but I like making little watercolor sets out of like Altoid tins and magnets and stuff. And they just have like the primary colors or something like that. So if I'm out field sketching, I can do that. A white gel pen for highlights, and some mechanical pens, pencils, for when I don't want to use the stylers, or if it needs it. And then a black permanent marker that's similar to like a Sharpie or something, because if I'm at a bookstore and I happen to find my book on the shelf, I always sign it. And sometimes they don't have Sharpies and sometimes they do. And so I find it's just best to like keep one on me just in case. It comes up more often than I might think. All right, and then book-wise, what's in here? What's in my solo RPG kit? Transformation. This is a solo RPG about the monster you are becoming. I met the guys who created this game at Board Game Geek last year in Dallas, Texas, and the guys were really cool, and they have this game and a murder mystery game, but I like this one a lot because it's basically like you're becoming an eldritch evil or something. You tell the story of like how you became infected and how that infection eventually takes over you. I'm playing through this game in like my downtime. One, it's just a solo journaling game, and I like the idea, but I'm twisting on the rules a little bit because I'm kind of telling the stories from two angles. I'm playing the game from the angle of a dad who has become infected, but his companion is a boy, his son. And the more compelling story to me is the boy's story as he's reacting to this. So I want to play through the game from the adult's perspective, but potentially rewrite it from the child's perspective. So, you know, I can never do things simple is the gist of it. But again, this game also uses decks of cards, which is one of the reasons why the deck of cards is in my backpack. Only a few more things. The mothership manuals, the main mothership TTRPG manuals. So this is the Mothership TTRPG kind of monster manual. It's called Unconfirmed Contact Reports. And then the Mothership Game Master Guide, or the Warden's Operation Manual, that tells you how to run the game. And I'm keeping both of these in my backpack right now because the main writing project I'm doing right now is a Mothership one-shot module, and I just kind of got them with me as easy reference. And the way I'm actually building the module is as one of these like brochure pamphlets. And so I keep this in the box as well so that I can reference sort of the formatting and so on for how they do these. And then I also have this module that I just purchased on DriveThruRPG called Bloom. This is for the Mothership game as well. And I just keep this with me I'm looking at the way other successful Mothership modules have laid themselves out, because I've never made one of these for like a broader group, so I want to have them with me just as a reference. And then lastly, the last thing that I keep in my backpack is my all-purpose journal. Now, in place of sketchbooks, I use this as my primary sketchbook and notebook. So it's a Fabriano notebook. I don't remember the specific names of it, but it's a Fabriano book that I picked up the Jerry's Artorama, and it's a grid paper setup, and it was on their clearance rack. So if you have one of their wholesale stores, it's back in the clearance area. But I really liked it, and I really like graph paper in general, but this is where I'm like writing out the module that I'm working on. And again, sometimes it's like, sometimes I want to work on my scribe, and sometimes I want this, and sometimes I want my digital. I don't know, man. Artists are weird, but this is also where I do sketches and stuff like that if I want to. Also in my TTRPG box is this. This is a combined random tables that are in the back of the Mythic Game Master emulator. So in the back of the book, she compiled like all of the tables that are displayed throughout there to kind of work on it. And I turned it into a PDF on my own, and then I printed them all out and turned them into a booklet that I keep with me so that I can easily reference all the random tables, all of the main ideas of the Mythic Game Master emulator. Again, just an awesome tool if I'm ever sort of stuck. I can pull this out, roll some dice, and keep moving. So again, if you don't own the Mythic Game Master emulator book, it's like $10-15 on DriveThruRPG. It's worth it. It's worth it as a creative resource. I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you don't play these games, like from a writing perspective, I find a lot of value from them. So yeah, this is kind of a fun little add-on I threw in there. So those are all the things I keep in my backpack. What's great about this little box is I can sort of stick everything back in there, close it up, and now all my TTRPG materials are safe, and they're not rubbing up against each other, because I was noticing like stuff was getting destroyed. So I grabbed this case that I don't know who it belonged to in my family, but I put everything in there, and that's where my stuff goes. So that's it. That's really what I keep in my backpack. So, obviously this sort of thing changes all the time depending on what I'm doing. Largely when I'm in the middle of working on a book, it's just my scribe and my iPad. But right now, since I'm in this state of like just kind of creative inspiration, the books stay pretty it keeps pretty fluid with what's in there and what's not in there. I keep a lot of these TTRPG books as well, just because again, they're great ideation tools. Sometimes I'm just like, gosh, I don't know what I want to do next, and I roll some dice, get some ideas, and go from there. So that's everything. What kind of things do you keep in your backpacks? What do you carry with you to stay creative and productive? I'd love to find out about it. Tell me about it below in the comments. It's always fun to find like new creative tools that people enjoy, that keep them inspired. And if anything, like I think that's sort of the point of this, right? Is it's fun to talk about these tools because I think a lot of people focus on like how difficult or hard these tasks are. And sometimes it is. I mean, solving a creative problem can be quite challenging. But I find that like if you have tools and resources that get you excited to just mess with them and work with them, it can make the whole workload a little bit easier. And so that's why I said like sometimes I'm bouncing between digital versus analog. And it's because sometimes I'm just in the mood to work in that way, whereas I'm not in the other. And whatever gets me excited enough to like just keep working and not kind of make this whole thing drudgery, because at the end of the day, goodness gracious, we're making creative stuff. And that's awesome. I do it. So yeah, I'd love to learn more about what you have in your bag. The next video that I want to work on is the Electric State solo roleplay series. So that'll be coming up. But thanks for being here, and I hope you're having a great holiday season. If you want to check out some more of my content right here, there's going to be a video popping up that it thinks you're probably going to like the most. So check that out. And please like and subscribe. Until next time, hope to see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.